Yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk this hour, and we're making the headlines. Nigerian Olympic Committee eyes gold at the Paris Olympic Games. Coming in from the world of boxing, an undisputed champion vacates their belt. In football, Austria tops groups of death and qualifies for the second round of the Euro 2024. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back. I have with me Kingsley Manuel.
Thank you very much for having me, Siri. Very happy to be here this morning.
Getting started, we'll start from the world of athletics, where the Nigerian Olympic Committee has said that they have their eyes put on a gold medal at the Olympic Games. Achievements so far at the previous Olympic Games could be surpassed at Paris 2024.
Yes, I think we're looking forward to that this time around. I think the preparation has been top-notch when you take a look at the way they've gone about in terms of preparing the athletes, ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. I think it's better than what we saw last time at the Tokyo Olympic Games. The preparation this time, has been given a very, very huge, boost. We're seeing the National Olympic Committee, coming up with different measures. We hear that, the anti-doping rules, of course, have been put together. The athletes as well, they've been preparing. They even have to put up a trial for them down here in Nigeria, and now in Cameroon, of course, trying to make sure that, some of our athletes also get to qualify. We understand that, there have been about 80 athletes, they've qualified. I understand about 5 to 6 as well, also remaining to pick the ticket to the Paris Olympic Games. For what we've seen so far, I think they've done a lot, and I think what they have to do now, just to make sure that, they dot the I's and cross the T's, is to make sure that they put up adequate fund to make sure that, the athletes do not lack anything when they get down, to the Olympic Games. We saw what happened at the last time, where some of the athletes, of course, were being suspended from participating in some of the game due to act of competition tests. Some athletes were in there, washing and wearing their jersey. The preparation was, very, very abysmal. But I think this time we're going to see a different, outing for Team Nigeria at the Paris Olympic Games. And we hope that with this level of preparation, the athletes as well will be able to go down there and be able to, prove themselves on the track.
Talking about athletes preparing for Team Nigeria at the Olympic Games, 80, like you mentioned there, 80 athletes have so far qualified. It's expected that 5 more will qualify in the days ahead. And Nigeria in the past have had issues with preparation, but it looks like there's a departure because there has been both foreign and local preparations ahead of the Olympic Games. Do you see the perennial late or lack of funds hampering final stages of preparation just before the Olympic Games?
Yes, I think we're not going to see that this time from what we're seeing. The sport minister is heavily involved, in this particular one, and I think he's been in all areas, trying to make sure that he put up a very impressive preparation for the Nigerian contingent ahead of the Olympic Game. He was there with them down there in Benin at the national trials. He also went with them as well down there to Cameroon, where they're having the African Championship, and so far so good. It's been a better outing, of course, for Team Nigeria at the African Championship. So for me, I think with the sport minister heavily involved in this, when it has to do with the federal government, of course, disbursing funds for them to go for this Olympic game, I don't think that would be an issue. We understand how it was last time where they have issues in different areas. We understand they had issues with the sponsors of the kit of the athletes, or some of the athletes went down to the Olympic Games with different football jerseys, and as well some didn't even have enough, to wear in different tournaments, and some of them were suspended due to out of doping competition. So preparation last time was so abysmal, but I think John Waneno being at the helm of affairs, we've seen how he's been able to go about the activities of sports in the country since he was actually being appointed. And I think for me, since he's heavily involved, we're not going to hear issues of, poor funding or whatever. I would just hope that, with all of this preparation, they will be able, of course, to complement it with making sure that these athletes get the best of preparation in terms of funding ahead of the Olympic Games.
Gold medal is the prospect for Nigeria, Team Nigeria going to the Olympic Games. We've had recent glory in silver and bronze, and so now the target is to see how we can win as many gold medals as possible. After all, we have world stars in amongst the athletes going to represent Nigeria at the Olympic Games. Meanwhile, let's see whether we can look at Taekwondo this hour. After a super performance in our recent outing in Luxembourg, Nigeria's Taekwondo star Elizabeth Yanacho has confirmed her readiness for the Paris Olympic Games. This is established. We've seen Yanacho, produce magnificent performance in Luxembourg to claim a gold medal. Can she get color medal at the Olympic Games?
I would just hope to see how far, of course, she'll be able to go. I think when you talk about Taekwondo, Elizabeth Yanacho is a very big name, that everyone, of course, recognizes Taekwondo in the country. I think last time she was also at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. This time is also going to be another appearance, for her. And we hope that she can be able to go in there and replicate, of course, the performance we saw in Luxembourg down there in the Paris Olympic Games. And that is just, what everybody is expecting from, Elizabeth Yanacho at this point in time. And as well, for the Taekwondo Federation, I think it's then time for them to start doing enough to make sure they produce other Taekwondo athletes, not only Elizabeth Yanacho all the time. I think we also have to see how we can grow more Taekwondo athletes, of course, in the country. And then from there, we can be able to have, some, athletes that could go out there and be able to prove a point. We shouldn't be relying on Elizabeth Yanacho. And we understand that she has been giving her best, and we hope that, of course, this time she'll be able to go down to the Olympic Games and replicate that performance we saw at Luxembourg.
With days to the Olympic Games, looking at how Team Nigeria are getting prepared in Taekwondo, 25-year-old Elizabeth Yanacho eyeing a podium finish. Another athlete, member of the Team Nigeria that is eyeing a podium finish is the African shot put champion, Chukwuebuka Nekweche, who says he wants to be on the podium as well at the Olympic Games. He's 3 times African champion. Can he take his African status across to the rest of the world?
Yes, I think he can. I think the man has done a lot, for himself over time. 3-time African champion, I tell you, not an easy feat. We saw what he did even in the current championship in Cameroon in Wasistan. He was the first Nigerian to pick a gold medal, in that competition. And I think for me, from what we've seen from the man so far, it's going to be an impressive outing for him at the Tokyo Olympic Games. We saw him last time at the Paris Olympic Games. We saw him at the Tokyo Olympic Games. I think that was 4 years ago. He was not really happy with the outing due to the poor preparation for Team Nigeria. We saw a video of him, washing his jersey, saying that this is the situation he finds himself, that he's actually washing and wearing his jersey at the last Olympic Game, which was in Tokyo. But I think with the level of preparation this time and Team Nigeria looking very much optimistic of getting something huge, I think it will be a different outing for Chukwuebuka Nekweche, and I hope that with this level of performance, and the form he is at this point, he'll be able to, of course, probably, yes, pick a gold medal for Team Nigeria at the Paris Olympic Games.
Well, we have the shot put star there eyeing the podium finish, and we hope it will be good enough for him, given the level of preparations so far. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has just promised to renovate the Molade Okuya Thomas Indoor Sports Hall. This is at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. Facilities has been one which has affected Nigeria's participation in some of these international events. We seem to have a dearth of facilities, but individual states are beginning to put eye on improving on their facilities?
Yes, I think for me, Lagos, they've done enough. They've done enough, in terms of improving facilities, sporting facilities in the states. From what we're seeing at this point, I talk about the Teslim Balogun Stadium, the Molade Okoya Thomas Hall. That hall has actually been useful, for Nigeria in terms of hosting international competitions. Recently, we saw the table tennis championship being held down there. We're also seeing some boxing, championship, as well as other sports, competition being held in that particular hall. And I think for me, this move of renovating the hall, I think will be a very good one, because in a situation whereby we don't have enough facilities in the country, we just have to maintain the one we have. I think just few states has the best of sporting facilities in the country. Lagos is one of them. You can also mention Bayelsa State, of course, has been one of them. Akwa Ibom, of course, is one of them, where we have the Gosla Pabio International Stadium. We don't really have, sporting facilities all over the country. So I think for me, the best we can do at this point in time is to see how we can maintain the ones we have already, and then we can look forward, of course, in having more, as it is. So for me, I think it's a good one. If this particular stadium, of course, is being renovated, we hope that, of course, it will continue to help the country in hosting some international competitions.
Facilities in Nigeria definitely has to be improved, if not for anything, to discovering talent, because you want to look at talents from the grassroots, you need to, be, abreast with facilities that are of international standards, so that when they go for continental competitions, they do not, find it strange with the facilities they will be used to. So I think it is only a clarion call for facilities to be developed across the country, so that we can use that to boost our performances, especially at foreign competitions. Meanwhile, we'll stay away from athletics now. Let's go to boxing. And in boxing, Alexander Usyk only recently, remember, emerged as the undisputed heavyweight champion in the world, courtesy of that Duase Pomelin of Tyson Fury. And of that, brought him 4 belts. Kesley, it looks like one of the belts is now been, how do I say it now? He's giving up on one of the belts. Talking about Usyk.
He's actually giving up one of the belts, that's the IBF belts. And we understand the situation. Look at the anticipated bout between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. Usyk was supposed to, he had a mandatory fight, which he was supposed to, of course, get into. According to the IBF rule, he's supposed to have a mandatory fight. But since he's not, going to fight, and he's looking ahead of the bout between him and Tyson Fury come December, and he's not going to get that mandatory fight, he has to forfeit that belt, for Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois at this point in time. So it's just, according to the IBF rule, that he has to do that, and the man has now forfeited that one at this point. Though he was pleading that the IBF, of course, to cut him some slack so that he can go for the undisputed heavyweights once again come December between him and Tyson Fury, at this point in time. But the rules are the rules. If you don't follow the rules, there's nothing they can do at this point. So he has to forfeit the belt, for the bout between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, as it is. So I think for me, the IBF, probably maybe would have considered him, but they choose, just to stick by the rules at this point in time. So Usyk is now left with the WBA, WBO, and the WBC belt, at this point in time. But we'll just see how far, of course, he'll be able to go. But I think that heavyweight bout, of course, will still come to reality between him and the man Tyson Fury come December.
Alexander Usyk, one man who has made boxing a very colorful there, but was taken out by the man that could, of course, like we mentioned there, has 3 belts now to himself: the World Boxing Association belt, he has the World Boxing Organization belt, and the World Boxing Council belt, the biggest of them all with him. Anthony Joshua and Dubois now will be off for the International Boxing Federation belt, and we hope the Nigerian could get this one for himself. Usyk, where does he go from here?
I think we'll just keep our fingers crossed to see, how the undisputed heavyweights between him and Tyson Fury, of course, will go down, because we hear that the bout has been fixed, for December 24th this year, and now that he has been stripped off of the IBF belt, we just keep our fingers crossed to see how that one, of course, will pan out, at the end of for the day. But I think they should actually, give him the room as well to, challenge for this one, because we saw the first bout, he defeated Tyson Fury, and I think Fury will only want that bout, of course, to get to reality. So we'll just see how it is and look forward to see if that bout, of course, will come to reality. Talking about the bout between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk.
Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk up again. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Saudi Arabia, no doubt, looks like the venue has been confirmed, dates not confirmed.
Yeah, not really confirmed yet, but I think the Saudis will also want to bring that one as well, to the country. And for me, I think they've actually done everything they can for over a year. Now, yes, to make sure that they host some of these top boxing bouts. And I think for me, it has really drawn so many person's attention, to the Saudis, taking a look at what they're doing in sport this time, investing heavily in sports, football, boxing, Formula One. You talk about tennis as well. I think they've done a lot so far, and I think this time I talked about the rematch between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk might possibly, of course, be hosted down there in Saudi Arabia once again.
Well, stay away from boxing now and go to basketball. And talking about basketball, you're aware that aftermath of that Celtic win for the season, there's been no action. But for the draft, there's preparation towards next season. And the first round of the draft starts today, and one man will be in focus, the son of LeBron James, Bronny.
Yeah, Bronny, everyone is looking at him, of course, to be drafted this time around, having, undergone his training at a basketball college down there in the
He's
United
19 years
States
of age?
Yes, 19 years of age. And looking at the fact that this will be LeBron James, possibly his last, year, or possibly his last season, of course, and he has said it before that he wants to play with his son before he calls it a quit in his basketball career. And I think for me, the Los Angeles Lakers might be looking forward, to drafting him for me to see that beautiful action between him and his son, Bronny, as it is. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed. I think the man has usually, shown much, prowess. We saw his prowess, in the basketball college of the Southern California, where he averaged 4.8 points and 2.1 assists, per game. He's really very good, in terms of defense. Not like an offensive player, of course, like his father. But for what we heard so far is the fact that, he has a very good defensive ability. And I think for me, that would be a very good one, looking at the fact that, his dad is in Los Angeles Lakers, and also having his son playing together will be a very, very beautiful one, of course, to watch out for. We'll just keep our fingers crossed and see where the young man will be drafted to at the end of the day.
Well, Bronny, son of LeBron James, getting ready for the draft that gets underway in the United States of America today. We know that he averaged 4.8 points and 2.1 assists per game, and that looks good standing. And he's as tall as his father, 6'9". This is good, 6'1" as compared to 6'9". This is good height for basketball, almost like the same height with his father.
Yes, almost the same height, with his father. And of course, you understand how height is always very important, when it has to do with basketball. Even as an offensive player, you need to have that good height. Even as a defensive player as well, you also need to have that very good height. So for Bronny, he's very good in defense, and I think that height, of course, will help him, especially when it has to do with the blocks, and all of that. And I think for me, it's a very good advantage for him, in his basketball career. We've seen what the father has been able to use his height to do. We hope that, of course, at 19 years of age going forward, he'll be able to, of course, to put up a very impressive outing and making use of his height very well going forward.
Basketball preparations for next season in the NS starting today with the draft. And talking about preparation for next season, reminds me that both Celtics have all tied down the contract of all of the 6 top players. Jason Tatum, remember, is one of the top players whose contract has been tightened up for next season. We have Jason Brown as well. There is Drew Holiday amongst the 6 players that they had their contracts already for next season. Derek White not inclusive as well.
For me, I think it's a good one. When you take a look at those set of players, I think they did a whole lot. They did well, in the just concluded season. I think they deserve to remain in that particular Bolton Celtic team. And
draft gets underway today in the United States of America, and in basketball, Bolton Celtic have the overall pick of 30 and 54. But they even saying it doesn't matter. Any player they pick will be ready to help the team defend their title.
Yes, talking about defending title, we understand defending the title has not been easy in the past 3 years now. We saw Golden State Warriors, they did it at some point, came back, were unable to defend. We saw Denver Nuggets as well, they actually won the title last time, but weren't able to defend. So defending the title in the past 3 years has not been that very easy, but we hope to see that of Boston Celtic. Can they go all the way next season to defend the title they just won recently? I think that would be a lot of work, especially you take a look at the fact that yes, they have a very young manager, talking about Joe Mazzulla, and the man is also very much optimistic in making sure that, of course, he goes a very long way with this team. And I think with a couple of players on ground looking very much optimistic as well, I think they have what it takes. But I understand that what I'm saying is the fact that the competition is going to be very, very stiff come next season. Denver Nuggets want to bounce back. Phoenix Suns want to bounce back. Golden State Warriors want to bounce back. Not forgetting the Los Angeles Lakers as well. The Philadelphia 76ers. These are teams that would have possibly gotten down to the finals, but one of the two teams has to bring them down. And for me, Boston Celtic, they have to be on their toes if they really want to retain the championship, because the next season is going to be very, very tough for them.
Very tough because, like the coach did allude there, he's saying that to deny other teams in the NBA would definitely target Bolton Celtic next season, given their performances. But after winning I think the last title before this one, I think 2013, they are now overall, they are the best basketball team in the history of NBA when it comes to title. They won 18. No other had. Their closest was Los Angeles Lakers. They had 17. They were both tied on 17. But they will see how they can expand the lead. But like we mentioned there, like the coach just said, 29 other teams will target them this season. And like Kingsley mentioned as well, it's been difficult in the last 3 years for defending champions to properly defend their title by the next season. But going by preparations, they seem to be on the right track. And for us here now, our track now is for us to take a break. And when we return from the break, we'll bring you some more exciting stories coming in from tennis, and we'll see how preparations are up for the Wimbledon, which is just a few hours away. And beyond that, we know that in football, a lot is happening, especially at the European Championship. We've seen, do I say, unlikely teams. Austria topping their group. That group was regarded as a group of death. The Austrians were the least you expect to top the group, but they have done just that as well. And of course, we saw Slovenia last night qualifying for the round of 16. How did they do it? When we return for the break, stay with us.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
people into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here, and we're returning back to the second half after we told you how Team Nigeria are getting prepared towards the Olympic Games with most of the stars of the 80 so far that have qualified, looking at a podium finish at the forthcoming Olympic Games. And now we have to get into tennis. Kingsley, Cameron Norrie, of course, has had a disappointing season ahead of the Wimbledon. The Queen's Championship is been one that has, do I say, prepared this athletes, but Cameron Norrie didn't have a good time at the Queen's.
I didn't have a good time, you know, at the Queen's Open, and for me, it's so bad, you know, of recent when it has to do with the performance of the British players. And Cameron Norrie, of course, you know, is one of them. Is one player that everyone, of course, was hoping to maybe, of course, push up so far, you know, but we're seeing him, you know, having an inconsistent, you know, performance, and I think for me it's not a good one, you know, for a player like him heading down to the Wimbledon. But this kind of performance will be a very, very disturbing one, you know, for him at this point in time. We understand he will not be seeded, taking a look at his poor performance, you know, of recent at the Wimbledon, but we'll just look forward to see how far, of course, it will go down for him. I think for me, the British players, they've really not been that fantastic. We saw the world #1 in the male category, talking about Derek Draper, was, you know, beaten with ease, I think, by relatively, you know, not a very top player as well. And we expected him, of course, probably to have gone far, but he fell short. So it's been a very, very poor performance for some of these British players, and Cameron Norrie, of course, is one of them.
Cameron Norrie, ranked number 44 in the world, not having a very brilliant preparation towards the Wimbledon, which gets underway in just a few days from now. But we hope he can catch up. But the rest of the other British players are not having a good time. Prominent among them is Andy Murray. Andy Murray may just appear at the Wimbledon, but not in top shape.
Not in top shape, and for the reports we're getting is the fact that he might not appear because we understand he had a back surgery. and that has really, that's really been a severe one for him. The Wimbledon starts on Monday, and the possibility of him recovering, having it been fit, after having surgery, down to the Wimbledon on Monday, it's going to be very, very tough. So there's the possibility of seeing Andy Murray at the Wimbledon this time. It's going to be very, very slim at this point. We understand that this might possibly be his last Wimbledon appearance, and he might not be appearing due to the fact that he just had a back surgery. So for me, it's so sad, for the man. We hope that maybe he takes time to recover and prepare himself ahead of the Olympic Games.
The Wimbledon is an all-England club tournament, and British players are being looked up to, but it looks like their preparation towards the Grand Slam is being hampered by injury and maybe poor form. Emma Raducanu as well was knocked out of the very first round of a tournament, that's the Eastbourne Tournament Open. And she too is British, 21 years of age, but not giving the fans what they expect after a victory at the US Open in 2021.
Yes, I think for me, for Emma Raducanu, for what we're seeing her and this point in time, according to what she said after putting up, an impressive performance in that encounter against Lou Steven, she came out to say that she's taking it, slow and steady. She did not want to rush things due to the fact that, there's been much criticism on her for not participating at the French Open, as she has also decided to opt out, from representing the British, in the Olympic Games, and it's not a very good one, at this point in time that Emma Raducanu is opting not to participate at the Olympic Games. So for me, not a very good one at this point for Emma Raducanu. But according to what she has said, that she's trying to take it slow and steady. She's taking a game one after the other. She doesn't want to rush things, taking a look at what has happened to her over time, where she had issues with her coaches. She's had, a couple of injuries that have really hampered her career. She said she wants to gradually bounce back, to her form. And for me, I think it's a good decision. Just opt out from this tournament, get yourself well, and see how you can fight back, to regain, yourself, when it has to do with the game. So let's just, take it easy with Emma Raducanu. We hope that she will possibly bounce back in coming days.
Well, we'll take it easy against Emma Raducanu. She didn't take it easy at all against Lou Stevens, because she beat her in straight sets, 6-4, 6-love, to continue her preparations towards the Wimbledon. Let's see and hope that she can do better. Meanwhile, British #1 in the female, Katie Butler, held off a late charge from Croatia's Metramatic before wrapping up 6-1, 7-6 in yet another straight set win for a British player ahead of the Wimbledon that gets underway on Monday.
Yeah, Katie Butler is one lady, of course, that at least, been a little bit consistent when you talk about British players, in tennis. And that was really an impressive performance for her. But, we hope to see this consistency grow, not, putting up, some low performance at some point. We hope to see her grow this consistency to challenge, the top names in the WTA, the likes of Iga Swiatek, Karina Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, and the rest. That's what, of course, we expect from her. We just hope that this will not be one of those performances we see, and at the end of the day, we don't see them anymore. We just hope that she continue with this level of performance.
We hope that she definitely will continue and see how to get at least to the knockout stages of the Grand Slam. After winning in 2021, we've not seen that, and let's hope it will be a different year at the Wimbledon. After all, it is being hosted, out there in England. Let's go to football now. And talking about football, it shows that we told you about the off-season. Right now, the season is off here in Nigeria, and there are teams preparing for the Federation Cup final, which comes underway this weekend. One of the teams preparing is Academy Warriors. They'll be up against Abia Warriors this weekend, in Lagos for the finals of the Federation Cup. Any upbeat about these teams ahead of the Federation Cup final? The winner of this one definitely will be going to the Confederations Cup.
Yes, for me, I think it's a good one. This one has been tagged, the battle of the Warriors, Academy Warriors and Abia Warriors. It promises to be an exciting one. And one thing we've seen so far this season is impressive organization of the Nigerian National League. And I think for me, that is what has helped at least, a team from the NNL to be able to get down to the finals. Last time, we also see a team from the NNL, coming down to the finals. That was, I think, Heartland FC. They have to fight against Enugu Rangers that were in the Nigerian Premier Football League. And now we're seeing another NNL team, Economy Warriors as well, coming down to the final. It shows that there have been high level of competition in the Nigerian National League, and that's why you always see teams from the NNL coming to the finals or for the Federation Cup. This time, there's going to be a team from the MPFL and team from the NNL, Abia Warriors from the MPFL, Economy Warriors from the NNL, and I think for me it's going to be an impressive battle. It will be so impressive seeing possibly Economy Warriors maybe heading down to the CAF Confederation Cup after leaving the Nigerian Premier Football League for some time now. Probably Abia Warriors, taking it at this point will be an impressive one. But we look forward to see the final and see, of course, who will take it at the end of the day.
Well, let's see what will happen at the end of the day. But just a peep at what will be a determining factor. The Academy Warriors, like you mentioned, is coming from the National League, where Abia Warriors in the Premier League. But Academy Warriors have had victories at the FA Cup twice, and Abia Warriors has never been to the final. And do you think this statistics, or do I say this history of the two teams would matter at the Mobolaji Johnson Stadium in Lagos?
I don't think so. I feel the form of both teams, of course, will be what will count this time around. You take a look at the run of Abia Warriors. Don't forget, they defeated Kano Pillars, to get down to the finals of the Federation Cup, while Economy Warriors took out Kebbi United, in the semi-finals to get down to the finals of the Federation Cup. So, you take a look at the opponents Abia Warriors have been able to all start from this competition, and that of Economy Warriors. You definitely give it to Abia Warriors in terms of form, heading to this particular one. We understand that both teams actually qualified through penalty shootouts. Abia Warriors were able to get past Kano Pillars through penalty. Economy Warriors were able to get past Kebbi United through penalties. It was really a team semi-final clash. But I think for me, we talk about the present form of both teams. You definitely give it to Abia Warriors when you take a look at how rigorous, their road has been down to the final. So I think for me, it's not going to be about statistics. It's not going to be about history. What is going to matter most in the final is all about the present form of both teams.
Present form of both teams will determine who gets it at the end of the day. A ticket is at stake. That's the CAF Confederation's ticket. That alone could be a motivating factor for these teams. A lot of people have talked about lack of facility for either of these teams if they do win the ticket.
Yes, it's a problem. It's a problem, as it is. But we understand how the Nigerian League Board, of course, has been able to navigate their ways in terms of all of this. Talking about facilities, I don't think Economy Warriors have the facility, of course, to host any CAF games. Even Abia Warriors as well. And for Rivers United have been participating in the CAF competition. We understand even the Adoke Messimaka Stadium, despite how much that have been used to renovate that stadium, CAF have not still given an approval. Rivers United has been playing their CAF games at the Gosla Pabio International Stadium down there in the U. And I think for me, if any of these teams also should get the qualification, maybe the management of the team has to make sure that they secure the Gosla Pabio International Stadium to execute their CAF games, or else it might be a very, very troubling one. But we hope that at the end of the day, these teams will be able to sort out means of playing in the CAF championship.
Let's quickly now go to Europe, and some interesting results came out last night. We saw France play out a 1-1 draw with Poland. Kylian Mbappe, with his mask, scored from the penalty spot and to force, and we saw Lewandowski force France to a 1-1 draw in that fixture. France now is second place in their group, but the characteristic of the match shows that they've played 3 games so far, and they've never scored from open play. They've scored from penalty, and the other goal was an own goal. So it looks like France is finding it difficult to score from open play in this European Championship.
Yeah, they're finding it difficult to score from open play.
With big name players like Kylian Mbappe.
Big name players like Kylian Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele. We talk about Anthony Griezmann, and the rest of them. They have those players that could possibly do the magic, in front of the box, but they've been finding it difficult, to get the ball into the back of the net. They actually had a very impressive outing, of course, in their first game. But in the second game, when they didn't have Kylian Mbappe due to the fact that he broke his nose, he was not in that game. They actually struggled a bit. But in the next encounter, we saw the last game he had a lot of missed chances, and that's not a very good one, at this point in time. I think it's been a long time we saw France not finishing top of the group, after playing the 3 games, in a group competition. So for me, not a very good outing for them this time around. We hope that Sam will be able to see how to put the team together ahead of the knockout stage of the competition. We expected more from them. Take a look at how the players are, in that particular side. But we hope possibly going forward in the competition, the round of 16, they could possibly churn out those goals.
When we're talking about goals, we saw plenty. 5 goals in the encounter between Netherlands and their opponents. It was so nice. Austria beating the Netherlands by 3 goals to 2. No one I didn't expect this one myself.
I didn't see that coming for Austria. In a group where you have Poland, you have Netherlands, you have France. Austria, coming from, nowhere and topping that particular group. I tell you, it's not something we all expected. Maybe we can attribute it to the brilliance of former Manchester United manager, talking about Ralf Rangnick. He's the manager of the side. I think putting up his impressive tactics and strategy and prowess, has been able to take Austria down to this level. We saw what they did against Netherlands, of course, yesterday. I tell you, with those big name players down there in Netherlands, where you have the likes of Godi Gakpo, you have the likes of Neyman and the rest of them. I think they would have possibly get past Austria, but Austria was so very fantastic in that encounter. They had a very good play, especially in the midfield down there yesterday, and we'll look for the best for them. They are topping the group at this point with 6 points after 3 games, and I think for me it's been an impressive outing for them in the group stage of the competition.
Talking about group stage, in Group C last night, we saw 2 games being played. We saw Denmark play Serbia. It ended goalless, and the other fixture in Group C was the encounter between Slovenia and England that ended goalless as well. This didn't go down well with the English fans. They were booing their team at halftime and even at the end of the encounter.
For me, it's really been a poor outing for England in the group stage of the competition. They only managed to win Serbia, and not even by a very good goal margin. Just 1 goal in that encounter. The second game we saw them play, they drew, and this time they played another goalless draw as well. So for me, it's really been an abysmal one for them. You talk about the English team, where you have a lot of big name players, the likes of Jude Bellingham, you have the likes of Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, and the rest of them, and then they still struggle to churn out a very good performance, and when it has to do with their performance on the pitch and as well as the goals. I think Gary Southgate has to look into the problem for
these finishers in the group.
I don't think so, because they expect them to churn out that impressive display on the pitch of play. This is a team that these are a set of players, that at least play, in the same league. They talk about Arnold, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham, and the rest of these players. They played in the same league. They should be able to have that synergy, just like what we normally see in the South African team. The bulk of the players play in the South African team. Whenever you see them play, they play with high level of synergy. That's the same thing that's expected, from the English guys. But they've not proven themselves on the pitch of play. Could it be as a result of the tactical prowess of the manager not being good enough, to be able to assemble these points of predict what will be the outcome of that particular group at this point in time? Taking a look at it, for me, I'm so disappointed, finding Belgium, still struggling after playing 2 games with just 3 points as well. I expected Belgium, of course, to have possibly go far in this one, but they have some couple of struggle. For Romania and Slovakia, I think for me, it's just going to boil down to who gets it most at this point. Look at it, Romania currently top, in that group. Taking a look at the number of goals they've been able to churn out, in this one, while Slovakia are third in that group. So Slovakia will be fighting all out this time to see how they can possibly get those goals and maybe get all 3 points, at the end of.
Between Georgia and Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo continues to make records at the Euro Championship.
Yeah, he continues to make record at the Euro Championship. I think so far he's gotten high level of assists so far in the competition. And for me, against Georgia, I think it's going to be a roller coaster for Portugal because they've done well. We've seen them having that little bit of synergy on the pitch of play. Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, and the rest of the players. They've actually been very fantastic. In their last 2 games, they've gotten 6 points now from the last 2 games, and I think against Georgia, it will be a very, very tough one today.
Across, while the European Championship is going on in Europe, there's the Copa America in South America as well. And I can tell you, Euro Championships were taking shine away from Copa America.
Yes, of course. It's always like this, at some points. Because, talk about the British, they have that high level of, publicity. They have the media. The media is after them, and that's why, we're seeing much attention being paid to the heroes, than the Copa America. But we hope to see the Copa America. I think we've just seen some couple of games. Maybe towards the round of 16, we'll start seeing much attention being paid to the Copa America.
That will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. Definitely we'll be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary. Then we'll take a look at some transfer news. We understand Super Eagles goalkeeper is on the move, and some other transfers across Europe as well. Victor Osimhen, is it close to going to the Premiership in England? When we return at 6 p.m. Nigerian time, we'll answer these questions and many more latest happening from around the world of sports. Until then, remember, are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their mind.